Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So hello everybody. And Lynn, thank you for reminding us that it's happy St. Patrick's Day and happy St. Gertrude's Day. So yeah, and happy Monday. So thank you. It's lovely to see everyone. And I was given a poem that I didn't expect at all this week. It happened sort of pretty much straight after the last meeting. So oh, I don't know. It's lovely. I love the way it comes through, and it's a bit of a funny one. So, right, Joni, if you want to put it up, and don't worry, because I've got my copy. So I'm going to read it from my copy, to help things along. Paul the Rat in My Shed, power poem. For years, there's been a rat living in my shed. He uses a strong carrier bag for his bed. I've got used to him now, and I call him Paul. And once I helped him before he could fall out of the nut house hanging on my tree, in which he was stuck and he couldn't get free. I took down the nut house and set it on the floor and simply asked him to push out one paw. He heard, it worked, and he scuttled away. But somehow Paul knew I'd helped him that day. He would run away each time I entered the shed. I was relieved because to see him caused me dread. Whenever I cleared the shed out, or whatever I would do, he'd return again and it'd smell of his poo. But these days, when I go inside, he no longer runs away to hide. Because Paul knows I would never cause him any harm, and so when he sees me, he feels no alarm. And despite everything, through all this time, I feel a great fondness for him, despite the grime. I'd even go as far to say we have respect and mutual trust, because although he chews through everything, he leaves the box of nuts, which, although is tightly shut, he could still gnaw through. But this one thing he leaves alone so that I can do the feeding of the squirrels and the birds and him too. So you might say there's a relationship between him and me. I let him feed and shelter, and I helped him to get free. And when I hear him in his carrier bag, when I get the food, there's a harmonious presence now in which we're both imbued. These are the simple, invisible things, like the stillness of a flower. When you join it in its silence, you can feel the power. And once I watched a daffodil, so yellow and bright, and noticed it was emitting waves of light. And I have a now clock with no numbers on its face. Instead, the word now is printed in each number's place. So as I look, it's 10 past now, and soon it will be half past. It neither goes slow, medium, or fast, just now. Tick, now. Tock, 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 now. And so where you think you're going, you've already just been. So what am I saying, and what does all this mean? That in every present moment we can see the world invisible. How Paul the rat, the daffodil, and I are indivisible. Slow right down to a snail's pace. Right there, you will see God's face, the amness feeling of his grace, the here-ness of this nowness place. So thank you so much for letting me read that to you and for listening. I think what brought it about was that so I went in the shed, and I never knew quite where he lived in the shed, but then I realized he lived in the carrier bag because he was rustling. And I was and I noticed that I was completely at ease with this, and then I just felt beyond that. I felt that he popped his head out and he looked so adorable and so cute, and I just felt this, like, just this feeling of just relationship, because it started to be that he wouldn't run away anymore. That's as it says in the poem. And I sort of thought, he used to be very scared and run away as soon as he heard me come in the shed. But now he's got me under his paw, because I find myself knocking in a very polite manner on the shed door before I go in. Whereas I would say about a year ago, I used to bang, bang, bang on the shed. And now I just feel, well, this is his space and I must respect it. And if it's his space, he can keep it the way he wants, you know. But then it sort of all came together with this kind of seeing these, just for a split second, these light waves emitting from this daffodil. And I just really pondered on the presence of this and just felt the waves of love coming off everything, which I know we all do. I know we all share that. We've all had instances, because all over these months of me getting to know you and you getting to know me, it's been so lovely to hear these amazing experiences from all of you about feeling this. And today, when I was meditating this morning, the presence felt so thick. It was the substance, and I felt the substance of the spirit and the strength of it, and how it's everything. again, which I know we've all expressed in different ways. And I never tire of hearing people tell me more about it. I love to hear it. The more we talk about this together, the more that space grows, And just before we started, Joni was telling me about an incident about space, which she's going to tell you in a moment. But I was just so heartwarmed by what she said, because the thing is that when we've got any problem or concern at all, and however quickly we may feel that we have to act, then if we just take that split second moment, then grace just takes care of it all. And I've got a wonderful novena, the 9-day novena, and you end every live by saying, "Oh, I surrender to you completely, Jesus. Take care of everything." Jesus, that's the same as saying the I am presence, the higher self. In fact, it's just the same as saying now, I surrender to now, because that's what it feels like because in each verse, before you get that part that you repeat, you're supposed to repeat that 10 times. Then it says, well, what are you worrying for? Every time you just keep getting in the way of things, you just try to interfere. Just simply say, Jesus, you take care of it. And then I thought about that, because I've stopped wanting to sort of do that thing where you say you give it to God or you give it to Jesus, because that Jesus, that God, is I, as it is, this I that we all are. And then I thought about the relief that I feel when I say, "Oh, Jesus, I surrender completely to you. Take care of it." And I thought, now what's that doing? I thought, oh, of course, it's just bringing me into now. It's now. It's the same as saying, "Ah, now." Every time we do that, everything just sorts itself out. This indivisible, wonderful, it's just too wonderful to describe. Oh, I just love you all so much. Anyway, Joni, would you like to just repeat that little story?
Yes, and literally, through the poems and what we've been doing, I had an opportunity to be totally aware of this. So this morning, I got on the computer and before Speakeasy, I had technical difficulties, and it's a biggie, and I could feel the heart rate as, oh, I gotta fix it. I gotta move the chairs on the Titanic, and and my heart was racing. So my awareness is like, oh, this is familiar. What are you doing? But I went through its Mercury and what are they going to think? What's Maureen going to think? Da, 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 da. And I literally, my body is signaling me to get to the present moment. And I remembered long enough through the breath. Stop the ego voice. Stop listening to the ego voice. And I kind of like jerked. This is all happening pretty quickly, but I could have gone down that road, is what I'm saying. And I got up to go get some tea, because that's like moving. I just stopped in that moment, got up, moved around, got some tea. And before I came out of the kitchen, I got an inspiration. The word came, for me, it was office, or I thought of the office. Now, why this is such a big deal for me is I came down, I have this beautiful computer, used it yesterday. When I'm in ego, I don't think straight. I think ego, which is like, what is the fly paper or the hooks in the grievances? There was a few grievances thrown into my thinking, and it was like having a ball, but I was losing my peace. What is my goal? The ego's goal was to fix it, make sure somebody approves of me, control, all that stuff, Rafi, you've taught me, safety. I'm going to lose what little bit I have. you know, but in that peace, I recognized the perfection that I have another computer. I needed to tell Mandi because through that very slowed down in the moment process, I I I got connected to the higher self rather than letting my ego run amok. So I then I relaxed, released it. Can I let go of that? I did it. And honestly, I thought I would be okay if I didn't get on the call. And that's the moment I think that the inspiration came. Also, I really can't believe as intelligent as I am and how I did this the other day. I didn't think of that. But the ego doesn't want me to think peaceful thoughts. It wants me to think lack. It should be different. I'm in control. It's all everybody's fault, particularly my ex. And, I just enjoyed the process of taking a breath, even for a moment, and letting.
Well, the ego wants you to think,
Yeah, stop
and
my.
God wants you to stop thinking, you see. No, I wasn't trying to stop you,
No,
Joni.
no,
No.
no. That's what I'm saying. I really experienced it, and it felt good to stop the thinking. That's what I couldn't wait to tell it.
Mhm. But isn't it? I mean, that's music to my ears. Uh, but that feeling that you've got, it makes you like a kid again, doesn't it? It makes you go like right back to innocence. That's you think, oh, like you've won the best prize ever because there is no prize better than stopping just for a moment. And when you said at the beginning, you said, oh, of course this was all happened quickly, but it does, you see, it doesn't even take any time to just have a moment that long. And everything gets, it's like, do you remember Samantha on Bewitched, and things would drop on the floor, and that's it, and everything would, the glass would smash into a lot of pieces, and she'd just go, you might say that's her pause. She'd go, hmm, you know, and everything would get put to right. That is a superb visual analogy to what happens every time you take a space. Everything just gets put right, as though there was no past at all, because there isn't any past.
And I really wasn't thinking of form. That's maybe the other second thing. I just knew I was okay and I felt the peace, and that I valued. And then after that popped in my head, The Office, and it was like, oh, I could have had a V8. I could have listened to the voice of infinity. But I really think I experienced what we've been talking about. I know I won't make excuses, but I
No, no, don't, because because when I asked you if you would tell this story, you said, "Oh, well, really?"
Yeah,
But
that's what I was going to say. It's no
yeah,
big.
yeah, yeah. But you see, it's these things that reinforce it for all of us and everybody listening. So it's massively important. That the ego will say that's not important. That's your ego saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
God
it's
says
true.
this is tremendous. This is humongous. That's what God says.
And
Yeah,
it
thank.
feels expansive. It feels expansive when I stopped. When I stopped listening to the ego, because it's still going to chatter. But I realized how empowering that was for me to breathe and focus on my breath. And then I just walked away for a sec. It was great. Anyway, couldn't
Thank you
wait.
so
Couldn't
much.
wait.
Wonderful. Lynn, yes, sorry. Carry on, Lynn. You're muted.
I mute myself. Okay, so yes, this is just so perfect. And Joni, we were just talking about this on Saturday morning, that when Jesus says to us, I'm just going to read this really quickly from the Course in Miracles. When you have learned how to decide with God, all decisions become as easy and as right as breathing. There is no effort, and you will be led as gently as if you were being carried down a path in summer. Only your own volition makes deciding hard. The Holy Spirit will not delay in answering your every question what to do. And here's a 2-word sentence. He knows, and he will tell you, and then do it for you. The Holy Spirit's doing this for you. You who are tired will find this more restful for sleep than sleep, for you can bring your guilt into sleeping, but not into this. So, this is what happens when we just allow ourselves to be with the Holy Spirit and to just listen. And you knew already that you had another computer, but because you were caught up in that panic, that's how the ego just gets you and just says, no solution is possible. And, all you have to do is just, give it over to the Holy Spirit and just like, and that's that pause. For me, that's what it is. Just, Jesus, help me. Jesus, take the wheel. Whatever I say in my mind, I let go. And when I let go, all of a sudden, everything just moves quickly. I mean, obviously, it works for me because look at how many years I've been doing this with Gather and have had multitudes of technical issues that seemed absolutely insurmountable. And yet, just one moment sitting with the Holy Spirit, and it all came together, and things work. And I learned all kinds of new ways to do things that I never knew or thought about before. So it's just allowing, like you said, and that's so beautiful. Thank you, Joni, and thank you, Mandy. Just awesome. So
I'm gonna frame this day because I talk about it a lot, but it takes longer. This was as close to instant as I've ever experienced. And that I felt that expansion. I felt the immediate contraction and the stuckness. I let it go. I breathed and I felt peace. And that's all that mattered. That's what I noticed. It was like, oh, I could have peace. And that, I don't know. Linda was so sweet to me this morning. That's the glow I had, Linda. She's going, oh, you're glowing and this. And I'm like, I felt peace.
I could feel it. I could see it on your face. I could feel it in your energy. It was beautiful I couldn't get my eyes off you, my pet, because I thought, oh my God, she's just turned a corner. Something shifted within her. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Lynn, thank you so much for reading that. That is so perfect. Every word that you read from the Course in Miracles. I mean, for finding that passage like you did, that's so spot on and matched it exactly. Was so beautiful. Thank you. It's lovely.
I'd love to know the exact passage, Lynn, if you could tell us.
Wasn't it yesterday's lesson?
It's in chapter 14,
Okay.
the section 4, chapter 14, section 4, paragraph 6.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. That's great.
Thank you.
Sharon, hi, Sharon. You've got your hand up. Hello. Hello.
I thank you so much for your story, Joni, for the poem. And I, couple 3 years ago, I would wake up grumpy every day, and I started saying this has got to end. And so I started greeting the day with a thank you. And so today I, do that. And I thought I was going to be late. I wasn't late. This has been the most pleasant beginning to a day that I have had in so long, because the story, Joni, just fits for me a lot of times now. And I like to say, Mother God, okay, can you just take care of this? Because I am just, that's the end. And so a minute later, it's resolved, or it just does something different. And it's like, ACIM says miracles are common. I didn't believe that, but they're getting pretty darn common. And Mandy, the poem today it's so, I have that. I don't have a rat. But several years ago, a neighbor called me, and she was just certain that I was still the HOA president because she started crying and whining immediately that there was a cat with a lot of kittens in her garage. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because cats are not my whatever. And at that same time, I see a cat walking its way to my place. I can see through the window carrying a kitten. And she brings all her kittens and puts them. I have a French drain and it's covered with a decking kind of thing. And she put them all in there. So they lived with me until they got and cute and all that. And kitties are not my favorite thing, but they were cute to watch. And then when they began to eat my plants, that was not so fun. And so we called the Feral Cat Society, blah, blah. And they gave the kittens away and they brought her back. And so she visits me a lot. And lately, it's either the feral cats in our condo area or the raccoon or the possum or the armadillo or whatever happens to be going through is using my patio as a bathroom. And so the other day I spread, the vinegar, the banana peels, whatever I could find that supposedly chases them away to not do that kind of thing. And this morning I went down before here to get my juice, and there she is, just sleeping on something way up high by the window, just happy as a clam. And I just thought, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting rid of you that way. But I hadn't seen her in a while, but it's nice to have her kind of back. So thank you so much for the poem, the story, and the flower. I was at the grocery store several years ago, and I'm looking through the hibiscus. They have plants there sometimes. And I look down, and there's this glow coming at me, and it's a yellow hibiscus. And it was just beautiful. So thank you very much.
Wow, Sharon, that's quite some stories there that you unpacked. My goodness, that's amazing. I mean, the cat, talking about the cat, must have felt incredibly comfortable with a presence that you were emitting without realizing it. That she wanted to bring something as precious as her babies near to you. And then the fact that she's visiting you, I think that she feels an appreciation that you didn't like the rat felt harmlessness from me and no need to be alarmed. She's felt that from you, and that's a wonderful thing because she's kind of letting you know that and that she's obliged to you, and she cares. And you see, this it's very important that we never take for granted the idea of oneness. We say it a lot, but the more you go into that one word, because oneness, like in Christian Science, they say there's 7 synonyms for God. Can't remember them all probably, but mind with a capital M, love, truth, principle, and whatever the others are. And as Joel says, they aren't describing God. They're not synonyms for God because they are attributes of God. Oneness is even oneness is a truth, but it's also an attribute. The actual describing of what it is indescribable. We'll never be able to describe it, but it is that thing that joins all of us together. And just as there aren't any secret thoughts, there are no private thoughts, the same is true of the you know, with the animal kingdom and the bird kingdom, it's a feeling. The essence of it isn't thought. It's you know, it's a feeling, isn't it, that joins us all. It's a presence. So when you aren't wanting to harm another creature, they feel that from you. As for the raccoon, the armadillo, and the possum, well, they just almost love you. I don't know what you can do for that, but you know, very, yes, Sharon, yeah.
Well, a couple of years, no, it gets really hot here. So there are skunks. This is San Antonio, you know, this is the desert, the ranch, whatever. And so there's a cemetery across this big street by me, and the skunks visit. And they like to burrow under the condos because it's cool. And I guess they don't like the graves, or they chase them out over there. I don't know, but I would smell those little critters every so often. I didn't appreciate that. But then I thought, what's not to like? I play pretty music all day. It's cool. You know, I don't know where they're getting their food, but I've had all kinds of visitors. So today is just, it brought everything together. It was so perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Rafi, thank you, Sharon.
Yeah, what all of this is reminding me of is how every one of you that shared your story dissolved that ego concept, that ego mindset of victim. Because you know you put ego and then you put equal and victim. It always thinks it's a victim. But once you get rid of all of that and you're in tune with the truth of what we are, our being, our infinite being, our higher consciousness, yeah, all of that, all of a sudden everything changes. And there it was. If that cat didn't feel your love, it wouldn't show up. Yesterday, I was at my, I plot in a community garden, and we had our monthly meeting, and it's on a school ground, and next to us is the school play area. There's a soccer field and stuff like that. And there was a coyote there. And coyotes, first of all, are nocturnal. They don't come out in the daytime. So if they come out in the daytime, usually they feel they're ill or they're looking for food that they haven't been able to get. And there, all of us was there. There were about maybe 15 of us there. And instead of the coyote, which tries to avoid human contact as much as possible, instead of it going away, it came closer and closer to the fence that separates us. And I looked at that, I thought, if this coyote wasn't feeling this loving presence that all of us were giving out without even realizing it, it would have turned and run. But it didn't. It came wandering over to look to see what we were all about. And I thought, well, there's a perfect example of it. Nobody here is coming from a victim mentality, and which breeds fear, which breeds lack, limitation, separation, get to be on guard about all that other stuff that you were describing. I can't do this, and I don't know how to do this, and this is dreadful. And all that was gone. That coyote wouldn't have come over. It stayed for a while. It looked at us, and then it just wandered away. And what you described before about the cats and what all of that other stuff is a perfect example of how what you see out there is reflecting what's coming out of your consciousness. That cat wouldn't keep coming around. Those other animals wouldn't keep showing up. They're showing up because they feel safe. There's no sense of victimization. There's no sense of threat. It's perfect. Thank you. And letting go of, oh my God, now what am I going to do? There's just welcoming that wanting control feeling and letting it go. All of a sudden, there's the peace that is revealed to us. Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Oh, thank you, Rafi. I love what you started with there about, yeah, of course, you know, that's right. That you're feeling like a victim, aren't you? It's that victim. It's exactly what you said. I love that, Rafi. Thank you. And yeah. Oh well, no. Oh, there's John. John, put your hand. Yes, John, carry on. Go ahead.
I would wish that you'd finish your sentences and finish your thought, Mandy, because that is
No, John, go on, because I think it's gone for a moment. It'll come back later. No, but I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thank you.
well, thank you for saying that. What I loved when you said I love you, and I just put my hand up. I love you too, Mandy.
I love you. Thank you.
For me, this is a stunning, and I want to thank everybody for the contributions to my perfect day, which started off with thank you, my greeting, thank you. What a great day. And it's the beginning of a week that ended last night with a stunning thank you for the week that I just had. So I really appreciate that that I got these beginnings and endings here. But your poem was off the charts for me, and it speaks to the two word sentence. As soon as I started hearing, I heard one life, and you've been talking about oneness. I just heard the one life. There's the rat. It's easy to go, I smell a rat or something like that. But here's another polarity to see how that rat is so perfect, just the way that he is, and whether I'm in A Course in Miracles and whatever I'm in, it's so perfect because now I'm in a poetic thing. And that speaks volumes to me, Mandy, just to gaze and listen to what's being said and just feed on it, whether it's St. Patrick's Day or whatever. It's just like slurp it all up. The big thing for me was another two-sentence word. It was, oh, Mandy, you have no idea what it meant to me to hear.
Oh.
Tick now. Talk now. Tick now. Talk now. Where we can go with that. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a gem, Mandy. What a gem. Oh. And because that leads us into the whole story of the perfection of the whole poem. And the perfection of the oneness that we're hearing about, feral cats and a coyote. Oh my goodness, we can have such a wonderful laughter with the coyote story, all the metaphors about coyotes. And now we got a friendly one coming up today. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Mandy, and thank you for everybody who brings their energies and their soul and whatever it is that we mysteriously don't know what it is, but we can see it on every little little picture on this pixel on my screen here. I can see the One Life expressing you, and I'm also honored for the mystery of that. Thank you.
Oh, love you, John, and thank you so much for what you said. And I can't take credit for the now tick tick. I tell you why, because I had actually finished the poem now, and I really do hear. I do hear spirit talking to me, and it said no, and I said now, and it went no, and I thought I wonder what I'm doing wrong here. And I got the message, record it for yourself. So I read out the poem, I recorded it, and I read. And I got to the now, and when I listened to it back, it sounded like a cat. It went now, it's just now, and the voice was. We had this conversation, and he said, "Mandy, what's missing?" And then I thought, oh yeah, it's the tick-tocking of the yeah, get it. And I was really told, John, to put that now. Tick, now, top. Because if you just heard now, that doesn't bring you peace. And the very deep reason I got about why that doesn't bring you peace is because it's just description. So if you're going, you can't describe what now is just by saying now. All you can do is point to it, you see. So just saying now, but without leaving the spaces in between means that it's meaningless in a way. So I thank God for that direct instruction that I got to add that bit in. That I cannot take credit for that. The only bit I can take credit for was listening for the direction. But that was given to me, yeah, because I hadn't written it like that. Rafi, yeah.
Thank you for that about now, because I experienced the same thing. Now doesn't do it. But when I say, am I present now? Am I aware now? Am I at peace now? Am I loving now? All of a sudden it does change. There is the shift. I am now. Just by asking the question, I am. Am I present now? And then just pause, and the silence, the quiet, is evidence of the now.
Yes.
The mind is always past, future, running around thoughts about this and that and that. But as soon as I ask the question, I am. If I just say now, it's just a sound. You might as well just be saying bump, 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 or anything else. It doesn't mean anything. But I just wanted to share that because it's incredibly effective.
Yeah, exactly. Because in asking those questions, you put in you put the pause. To have the pause, as you say, is the most important thing. Yes, Sharon.
I'm just sitting here enjoying looking at everyone. A number of years ago, a client came to pick up her supplements, and it was very late at night, but I was up and I answered the door, and she looked up at me, and all I could see was this beautiful glow in her face. It was just stunning to me. And I just said, "Oh, Mary, you just look so beautiful." And she just kind of laughed and we went on. But I'm looking today at everyone, and Lynn has this beautiful glow of a light behind her, and Linda has this glow from the outside behind her, and John has the glow from, I guess it's sunshine. Robbie, there's a little glow off to the center of your picture, and Mandy, you have a beautiful little yellow glowing light behind you, and Joni, you have all those pretty glowing stars. And it's like, I love seeing that glow from someone. I've just actually seen it from someone's face in Mary, my client, and that flower I talked about. But it's just such it just fills you with, I don't know, love. It fills you with just a glow. You just feel so blessed. And I'm gonna get a clock, and I'm gonna do it just
What,
like
now
that.
clock? Do you mean the now clock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a clock, and I'm gonna write now on the hour.
Oh, no,
You don't have to. You can buy them like
yeah,
that.
you can buy it on Amazon. It's like 20,
That's what
25 bucks.
There's all different
Really?
ones. Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, I don't know if you can see it. I'll turn the camera around, but I don't think you'll be able to. It's up
Yeah.
there. You
See it? Up, tilt it up a little bit more.
That way. That way.
There, yeah.
I'll
there.
be darned. Okay.
Yeah. You can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're all different ones now. When I first got mine, which was years ago, I got one of the first ones that was made, and I only know that because, oh my goodness, it wasn't on Amazon. You had to search for it and everything because it was years ago. I've had it a long time. But now, as Joni says, you can get them on Amazon with different type faces, of now and everything. So you don't have to write on them.
Thank you.
I haven't bought one yet, but I've also been tempted to buy the easy button. It's easy. Just hit the easy button.
Absolutely. I mean, to be quite honest, anything that helps. That's why I made that a little alignment clock the other week that I showed you, Yes, John.
Yeah, That was easy. The clock, you get it from Staples. That was easy. That was easy. It's just, because
It was at Staples, but guess what? It's on Amazon now.
yeah. Yeah, and it's important because when you hear people's language, how things are so hard and this is so difficult, and hey, whatever you say, you're right. So
Thank you.
the more you press, that was easy. It's going to go. But it really, Joni, I put my hand up for because you inspired me with something that I wanted to mention, and that was about your experience with the computer and where you went with it, and it was what came for me on that was it kind of lined exactly with a poem because Joni's got an "it's all my fault" stuff going on, and then I sort of, well, wait a sec, Joni. What about if it's none of my fault? It's not my fault. It's all my fault and it's not my fault. Like then I can look at both of them. And it's really the same thing that I just talked about. It's the same thing. It's the polarity. But what I loved for where you got to was peace and infinity. That's the way that you wound up on it, and that was like a TikTok moment. Like I got a Dick Now moment, right? TikTok Now moment. I got to my peace and infinity through your process, and so I just like that. It's all my fault and none of my fault. Just to be aware that I got both those programs playing, and this just the same as an easy button or a hard button. That was easy, that was hard. So basically, that's the main thing I put in my hand. But what inspired me as well was Sharon mentioned about her supplements, and that it just fired me. I gotta say this, and it's difficult for me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. And that is the main reason I was on the call last night was I heard a lady who for 30 years suffered, and her mother suffered with her, watching her in severe pain for 30 years. And she got a complete and an absolute cure just through a food supplement. And, so I heard about that. And the name of the quote is I Hercules, and I'll be happy to share that information with anybody because it's doing miraculous things through just plain plant food. And so I've mostly keep that kind of stuff to myself. But I was inspired when you said about you're a supplement lady that I need to let people know that I know something that if they were interested, they could ask me about.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, John. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Rafi.
The thing that just hit me is that everything that everyone is sharing here is all working toward our waking up from the dream.
Absolutely.
That's where all of this is leading us. I mean, all of this positive energy, all of these great shares about this personal discoveries that we're all sharing, and all of this other stuff is all everything is pointing us in that direction, whether we realize it or not. And I realized it, and so there's just this incredible shift, this explosion of gratitude and aha moment.
Yes.
It says, you're waking up because everybody here is pointing us in that direction. And whether we realize it or not, well, I realize it. Thank you very much.
Isn't it wonderful? Its spirit is so incredibly, endlessly, limitlessly kind and generous and just patient with us all. It's just, yeah, thank you for that, Rafi. Lovely. So that's exactly what we're doing. Yes, Lynn.
Well, all this with your poem especially is reminding me of, again, A Course in Miracles, because that's where I get all these wonderful insights. The responsibility for sight, which says I'm responsible for the world that I see, and it. A lot of people think, well, that means I'm responsible for the war and I'm responsible for the everything, all these things. But really, I'm responsible for what I see. So if I see a rat and that rat is my friend, like Ratatouille, then I'm seeing love. If I see a rat and I see a pest and I think that it's and I'm gonna, tear up my shed or ruin, or eat the nuts for the birds or the squirrels or something like that, and I get upset about it, then I'm seeing a world that is not friendly. I'm seeing a world where things seem to be going wrong. And so it's so important for me to be constantly reminded that all things are here for me. Everything is here for me, for my best interest, because it's all made of God. It's all love. And so I'm responsible to see that it's love. Um, and when I look and I see things that seem to upset me, it's got to be the same thing. It could be a rat in my shed, or it could be a war in another country, or it could be a crazy person in my country. It could be anything. And if I just look at it and recognize that these are here for me to see love, this is here for me to experience love, because I know you experience love with that little rat. Because I'll tell you why. I have a little mouse. And that little mouse lives here in my office. And that little mouse will come up over here on top of the little box next to my desk and look up at me. And I'll give him a piece of a cracker, or I put it out for him, and he'll come and get it. And and he's like, he knows he can depend on me. He knows I'm not going to hurt him. He knows, and people would say, "Oh, well, you have a mouse in your room. That's a terrible thing." No, it's not. It's a creature that lives here in the world with me, and this is really his home. Before they built a house here, lots of mice lived here. They're natural here. We have cats. I told you about our cats. We have numerous feral cats that come to our yard. We're a colony manager, so we take care of these cats. And if one is sick, we'll take them to the vet, or to the Humane Society, and they take care of them. If they come up and we take them, they'll neuter them and send them back or take care of them or whatever. We feed them every day. We buy cat food, bird seed, cat food, and peanuts, our regular orders, and we feed all these animals that live around us, not because well, because we love them, because they come here and they're our friends, and it's so lovely to see them out there, and knowing that they trust us, and that we can be a safe harbor for them. This is we're here to be harmless. And that's, as you said, Mandy, that's such a beautiful word. Harmless is exactly what we are. And so anyway, I just love that. But if I looked out and said, oh, all these pests are all over my place, then I would be unhappy. But if I look and say, these are the natural animal, I feel like, Snow White, you know, or Cinderella out here, with all the animals, and love them. So I love that poem so much, Mandy. You can't believe how that cheered my heart to hear that, because of my little mouse.
Oh, I can just see your little mouth. You'll have to give him a name. Oh, I love
You're
that.
right.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. That's
Thank
lovely.
you.
Yes, Joni.
Uh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. That was lovely. Of course, some of you know I had a pet skunk many times. So, yes, Sharon, I thought I would say that for your benefit. I've had 3 over my life. I don't know about a 4th one, but they're great pets. Anyway, one in the poem, which I am looking at, it says, and so where you think you're going, where you think you are going, you've already just been. So what am I saying, and what does it all mean? That in every present moment, we can see the world indivisible, how Paul the rat, the daffodil, and I are indivisible. And I just wanted to add, whether it's now, the easy button, or and so it is, I'm choosing right now. And that to me is, if I practice that, then I'll stay a little bit longer in the holy instant as I walk through the world that I'm not of the world. But if my awareness, if I keep raising that awareness of the oneness and the equality and the mind and the truth and the love, that's how I will experience this world. And I don't think that means, I mean, for Lynn, it's feeding the mouse and the animals. It might be donating or protesting for the war, but I can't get guidance if I'm not seeing through that vision that I am in this present moment in a world indivisible, one, and how the rat and the daffodil are indivisible. And then the solutions will be guided, because then I'm in the
Why don't you read the whole poem? Why don't you read the whole poem, Joni?
All right. Are we ready for that?
Well, Rafi's got his hand up as well.
Oh, Rafi. Okay, go ahead.
You don't realize it, but what you've just been saying is quoting Lester Levinson almost word for word.
Really? I got it.
I mean, his sense of, he said there are kind of two rules that can guide you. He said one is the rule of a mutuality. If it isn't mutual, allow it and walk away in peace. The other one is a sense of harmlessness to all beings, to all creatures. And that's exactly what you guys are saying. And so there it is. I mean, are we divinely guided every step of the way? You bet we are. And and I'm looking at this thing and I'm saying, it's like I'm reading Lester's words or hearing him, on a YouTube thing. So could it be more perfect than that? Nope.
Thank you, Rafi. Well, Joni, just going back to Joni and the poem, John, you read my mind, because Joni, you've said to me often that you find leaving a space, particularly on a public broadcast like this, difficult. So I want you to read the poem. And when it gets to the now, tick, now, talk, I want you to go really slowly and not worry about how it's going down, just so when you get to that bit, slow it down and just give it a little space at the end of it, like I did, and so that you just get comfortable with leaving these spaces.
Yes.
If you'd like to read it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it is. The more I accept, and so it is, the more I'll be able to be in the present moment. So let me start. Paul, the rat in my shed power poem. For years, there has been a rat living in my shed. He uses a strong carrier bag for his bed. I've got used to him now, and I'll call him Paul. And once I helped him before he could fall out of the nut house hanging on my tree, in which he was stuck and couldn't get free. I took down the nut house and set it on the floor and simply asked him to push out one paw. He heard. It worked. He scuttled away, but somehow Paul knew I'd helped him that day. He would run away each time I entered the shed. I was relieved, because to see him caused me dread. Whenever I cleared the shed out, or whatever I would do, he'd return again, and it smelled of his poo. But these days, when I go inside, he no longer runs away to hide, because Paul knows I would never chase him any harm. And so when he sees me, he feels no alarm. And despite everything through all this time, I feel a great fondness for him, despite the grime. I even go so far to say we have respect, a mutual respect. Because although he chews through everything, he leaves the box of nuts, which, although is tightly shut, he could still gnaw through it. But this one thing he leaves alone, so that I can do the feeding of the squirrels and the birds and him too. So you might say there's a relationship between him and me. I let him feed and shelter, and I helped him get free. And when I hear him in his carrier bag, when I get the food, there's a harmonious presence now in which we're both imbued. There are the simple invisible things like the stillness of a flower. When you join it in its silence, you can feel the power. And once I watched a daffodil, so yellow and bright, and noticed it was emitting waves of light. And I have a now clock with no numbers on its face. Instead, the word now is printed in each number's place. So as I look, it's 10 past now, and soon it will be half past. It neither goes slow, medium, or fast. Just now. Tick now. Talk 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 now. And so, where you think you're going, you've already just been. So what am I saying? And what does all this mean? That in every present moment, we can see the world indivisible. How Paul the rat, the daffodil, and I are indivisible. Slow right down to a snail's pace. Right there, you will see God's face. The emness feeling of his grace. The here-ness of this now-ness place.
Joni, thank you so much. Can you just pop it back up for a moment? Pop it back up. Right down to the bottom. Go to the bottom. Thanks. Just stop there. Stop there. Yeah. First of all, you read that absolutely beautifully. So thank you. I hope that felt really great. It's just, there's just one important line, because you've used the word indivisible twice, and it's quite an important point. So I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to say that in every present moment, we can see the world invisible, you see, because that's pretty important, because it's when we're rushing around, then we don't see anything. And the only way that I got to see the waves of light emitting from the daffodil was because in absolute stillness. Just it, that's what we mean by going through the, it's as hard as going through the eye of a needle, a camel going through the eye of a needle, because you have to get so still that things that weren't previously visible become visible. And then we find out that we are indivisible. But so I hope you don't mind. I'm not trying to correct you. It's just that.
No, I didn't. So it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, because I couldn't have wished for that to be read better. So thank you, darling. That was so lovely. Thank you.
Thanks. And I'm resisting making a defense or I'm sorry, all that.
Good.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Lynn, did you have your hand up?
I just wanted to say, because of that, because there are no mistakes. And so the reason that you read that way was so that Mandy could come back and say, this is an important thing, that we're seeing the invisible world. Otherwise we may have just gone over that and said, oh, that's nice how that rhymes. So
oh, no, you say that's great. Thank you. Thank
that's
you so
perfect.
John, yes, you've just got your hand up.
Does our class end at 11:30 or 12?
It's finishing now. This one, you mean?
Well,
Yes.
I just want, the only thing I like to add to that is that the importance of that, because after the TikTok, that's whatever follows that is the payload. So like it's really important that we get that part right, because that's being embedded in such a beautiful way. And so thanks. The whole poem payload comes within that last stanza.
Oh.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Absolutely. And I'll send it out, this poem and the little recording that I made, the right one with the gaps in. Oh, I love you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you
so much. Powerful, powerful time. Thank you so much.
Oh,
thank you, everybody. I love you all. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Joni. I so appreciate you being here with us on Gather on Monday mornings.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, everybody.
Give me the opportunity. Thank you, Joni, so much. She supports me so well.
Lynn, I have a question. Oh, let me stop.
Yeah, stop that.